Slayer.
Total purification targeted for the village of Kali.
Doom: The Dark Ages, the eighth main entry in the legendary Doom series, was released on May 15, 2025 by ID Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. Available on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and day one on Game Pass, this game serves as a prequel to both Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. It takes players on a dark and epic journey into a medieval fantasy-themed world. With bold changes to the traditional Doom formula, The Dark Ages not only stays true to the series' roots, but also sets a new standard for the first-person shooter genre through remarkable innovation. In this review, we'll take a deep dive into the game's story, gameplay, graphics, sound design, and overall impact to find out whether The Dark Ages truly marks the peak of the series, as its creators claim. In Doom: The Dark Ages, players are transported to a brutal ancient era where the iconic Doom Slayer appears as a medieval warrior. According to game director Hugo Martin, the story is a cinematic saga of the Slayer's rage and explores the mysterious origins of the protagonist. Unlike previous entries set in modern sci-fi environments, The Dark Ages draws inspiration from dark fantasy and medieval torture devices, creating an ominous and heavy atmosphere. The narrative centers on the Slayer's battle against demonic forces invading the human world through portals opened by the UAC organization. This time, the Slayer not only faces demons but also gigantic beasts, hellish dragons, and colossal machines like the Atlan mech. Although the storyline is still relatively simple compared to narrative-heavy titles like The Last of Us, it shows significant improvement over previous Doom games. Numerous detailed cinematic cutscenes, especially epic moments like the Slayer riding a dragon or battling demonic giants, make it feel like a fantasy action film. The plot keeps players engaged with subtle twists and mysterious revelations about the Slayer's origin. However, the open-ended conclusion, intended, according to Martin, to allow for future stories, may disappoint players hoping for a definitive ending. Still, the increased focus on storytelling and character development reflects ID Software's ambition to evolve beyond pure, relentless carnage, while preserving the series' core identity. Gameplay in Doom: The Dark Ages can be described as a brutal yet harmonious symphony, where every beat blends speed, power, and strategy. Unlike Doom Eternal, which emphasized agility and acrobatics, The Dark Ages introduces heavier and more tactical combat without sacrificing the franchise's signature intensity. This shift is evident in the focus on melee and defensive weapons like the shield saw, a rotating blade shield, and chain hammer, allowing players to crush enemies with precision and force. These weapons, requiring careful resource management and timing, add new layers of depth to combat. For example, the shield saw serves not only as a defensive tool, but also as a spinning weapon or throwable, perfectly capturing the medieval warrior vibe. The weapon upgrade system is another highlight. Players can customize attributes such as fire rate, damage, or special abilities, allowing for a wide range of strategic approaches. This system, combined with a rich variety of both melee and ranged weapons, like the classic shotgun and plasma rifle, offers players an exceptional degree of freedom. Interestingly, the game can be completed without using any ranged weapons, demonstrating just how flexible the gameplay truly is. However, one of the main criticisms of the game is its limited enemy variety. After a few levels, the demons start to feel repetitive, and even the elite enemies occasionally lack creativity in their design. Some critics have suggested that if certain enemies had specific vulnerabilities or resistances to particular weapons, combat would feel more meaningful. The introduction of new mini-bosses and a wider range of enemy types in the later stages helps compensate for this shortcoming. Additionally, features like piloting the Atlan mech and dragon riding sequences create epic and unique moments, Although some players have reported that the Atlan battles lack the intensity of ground combat and feel more like a break in the action. The level design, described by Hugo Martin as the largest in the series' history, combines linear and semi-open world environments. Each level, which takes about an hour on average to complete, ranges from tight, gloomy dungeons to expansive, highly detailed plains. This variety, paired with side content like stealth hunts and collectibles, significantly boosts the game's replay value. For completionists aiming for 100% completion, the game may take up to 25 hours, while a standard playthrough typically lasts 15 to 20 hours, making it the longest campaign in Doom's history and highlighting ID Software's ambition to deliver a rich and diverse experience. Doom: The Dark Ages runs on the 8th version of the ID Tech engine, which, according to Marty Stratton, the game's producer, delivers a massive leap in detail and immersion. The levels, larger than ever before, are visually stunning, ranging from blood-soaked medieval castles to lava-filled hellscapes adorned with chains. The seamless streaming technology of ID Tech 8 has virtually eliminated loading times, allowing for fast traversal across massive environments. On PC, path tracing effects deliver breathtaking visuals, especially in lighting and reflections, pushing next-gen hardware to its limits. Still, the console versions are slightly less polished compared to PC, with some reported frame rate drops during intense combat scenes. Overall, though, the game's visual design is top-notch, from the smooth glory kill animations to destructible environments. Everything contributes to the feeling of being in a living battlefield. The violence and gore, longtime trademarks of the Doom series, reach new extremes in the Dark Ages. Dismembered corpses, blood-soaked arenas, and a Slayer helmet that gets progressively bloodier with every battle all help reinforce the game's brutal and unforgiving atmosphere. The soundtrack, composed once again by Mick Gordon and his team, is another triumph in industrial metal. The music reaches its peak during combat, pumping adrenaline through the player with every beat. From the heavy rhythms in ground battles to epic melodies during dragon riding sequences, the soundtrack perfectly complements the gameplay.
The charges.
Environmental sound design, from the grinding of the shield saw to the demonic roars, further enhances immersion. The Slayer's sparse dialogue, delivered with a deep, gritty, and charismatic voice, adds subtle depth to his character. However, some players have noted that the soundtrack is less varied than in Doom Eternal, with a few tracks repeating during longer missions, which can lead to slight monotony. Still, this issue is minor and doesn't significantly impact the overall audio experience. Doom: The Dark Ages has received an average score of 92 out of 100 on Metacritic, with glowing reviews from major outlets like IGN 9 out of 10 and Zoom 9.5/10, and is widely regarded as one of the best shooters of the past decade. The game successfully preserves the core identity of the Doom franchise while introducing a dark medieval fantasy theme, melee weapons, and semi-open level design for a fresh and bold new experience. Combat, an exhilarating blend of speed, power, and strategy, remains the beating heart of the game. Epic moments like the Atlan mech battles or soaring through the skies on a dragon deliver jaw-dropping thrills. The game is not without flaws. The limited enemy diversity and some repetitive encounters, particularly in the middle portion of the campaign, may frustrate some players. Additionally, while creative, Atlan battles are not as dynamic as ground combat. Minor technical issues, such as frame rate dips on console, have also been reported, though these are expected to be addressed through future updates. Ultimately, Doom: The Dark Ages is a must-play not only for fans of the series, but also for anyone who enjoys fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled first-person shooters. With a masterful mix of nostalgia, bold innovation, and a cinematic dark fantasy atmosphere, it sets a new benchmark for the genre. If you enjoy demon-slaying, intense metal soundtracks, and heart-pounding action, The Dark Ages will not disappoint. As Hugo Martin puts it, this is ID Software's biggest and most ambitious project to date, and it fully earns the right to bear the Doom name. A shooter masterpiece that, despite a few minor flaws, delivers an unforgettable and exhilarating experience.